This week on It's Not Easy Being Green, we're dishing up a real treat.
It's really good, actually. Do you want to try some?
Nick Knowles is not taking our eco-test lying down.
So don't jump up and down in your green socks and your sandals and tell me that I'm ruining the planet. I'm ready to save the planet, but when the government and the people who can actually make a difference join in, I join in too.
Lauren is weighing up the pros and cons of an eco-hotel.
That's what I thought I was going to get a free stay.
And Toby Sode goes to a wedding fair to find a green bride.
Remember this bad boy? It's been running for 3 years, and every year we take it out and maintain it. And we have to be quick, because every moment the water wheel's not turning, I'm not getting free electricity. It's big. It's huge. This water wheel, bless it, spends all its life being wet. And all we're doing is making sure we don't end up with any leaks, because I don't even see in the end there we've got moss growing. And then it's even more fun when something comes along the aqueduct and gets stuck in it, and then it goes around clunking. It's like spooky dokies in your wheels. Remember your spooky dokies, mate? Yeah.
While the team get on with that, I need Jim's help on another watery project.
Now what we do,
I want to use the power of our stream to provide water for the vegetables in our polytunnel. But the polytunnel's at the top of the slope, and it's not easy getting water to flow uphill. My solution? Well, the stream flows through a culvert and drops 5 metres down the valley. That's a lot of energy we can use.
what we're going to do is we're going to use that to put in a ram pump, which is a pump that uses no electricity and it uses no motor. How does it do it? Magic. But what we're going to do is we're going to build one in the workshop and we're going to harness the fall in the water so some of this water can be used for watering the greenhouse and the polytunnel.
And here's the first bit of magic. Jim's going to make a clacker valve. A valve in a box attached to a big spring.
The water's going to come down this pipe, push this valve shut.
Yeah.
And then the water's got nowhere to go. It's got all that momentum, it's going to want to keep moving.
Yeah.
So that sudden bang on the water as it can't flow anymore will force it through this one-way valve and up to the polytunnel.
And there's no electricity, there's no motors and nothing else?
Nothing, it's just using the power of its own water.
And so, what are we going to make ours from?
Plumbing bits, I think.
How do we know what size we want?
Whatever you've got lying around.
That's the right answer.
We need a little bit of 22mm pipe.
Something like that size.
So. And the one-way valve, make sure it goes on the right way round.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Just tighten that up a bit.
Because you found a bigger spanner. Got the water coming in, up this pipe.
Yeah.
The clacker valve.
So the water's naturally going to flow out there until it shuts?
Yeah, that's where it's naturally going to leave. 90% of the water's going to come out of here.
Yeah, but then when it shuts it, all the rest of it's going to go, oh!
That kind of pressure wave is going to come down here through the one-way valve,
Yeah.
up here, out the pipe, and that should pump up to the polytunnel.
Oh, that's perfect.
This is a great bit of engineering. It may have been invented over 200 years ago, but it's still got masses of applications today, particularly in the developing world. And talking about saving resources, here's Lauren.
There's a hotel in Norfolk that's been working hard to reduce its impact on the environment for years. I just hope they're not skimping on luxury. How are you? This place has won countless top environmental awards. Oh, coming over a bit Marie Antoinette.
What have we got here? Oh, it's really nice decor. Still, you know, a little bit boutiquey, a little bit country. But look, just big toiletries, no miniatures here. Towels for one. And there are energy-saving bulbs, thermostats on the radiators, and, best of all, a little wind-up radio for some mood music. Probably a little bit too moody, really, that, isn't it? The TVs are not on standby. And thrill as I turn out every light in the room with just one finger. It's all on a master switch. Behind the scenes, it's a veritable hive of environmental activity, and all the staff are trained up to the eyeballs.
Midweek, we get a lot of single people, business people. We're looking at simple things like how many people are in a room. We then cut the laundry. So all the rooms are double-bedded. It doesn't make sense to have 4 pillowcases in there, which you would have if you had double occupancy. So we put 2 in for business people. We put 2 towels, and we say to them, if you want some more, please ask. We'll give you as many as you like. And by doing that in 2007, we cut the laundry bill by 500 towels and 800 pillowcases. So significant amount.
Here we separate all our rubbish, so we try to recycle as much as we can to reduce waste to go to landfill.
The staff record the amount of waste produced so they know exactly how much they recycle. And I mean everything.
I thought I was going to get a free stay. What about this one?
This water, teas and coffees, wine came from restaurant, yeah,
Right.
or from rooms.
So even recycle the ends of teas and coffees?
This is good for plants because
Right.
we don't need any chemicals for them. This is a good feed for them.
Glad I'm with the plant.
Any leftover food hits the compost heap.
We're producing 2.4 tonnes of organic waste every year. I mean, look at a big hotel and it must be mind-boggling. Trying to control that, trying to find ways where it doesn't go into a hole in the ground just makes commercial sense.
That old tea and coffee is working wonders in the garden. The chickens are ranging free and are very well read.
Even the waste paper goes to make a little bit of light reading for the chickens while they're laying. There's one of them made earlier.
For outdoor enthusiasts, there's wildlife out the back. And for culture vultures, it's out the front. Local artist Harriet Mead uses all sorts of recycled materials to create works of art for the hotel. Well, now that I know how hard everybody's working back there to save the planet, I can really enjoy my pre-dinner drink.
Thanks. Oh, Dick, I think you'd like this.
Looks delicious. Where's the chips? If you want tips on how to spot an eco-hotel, go to the website bbc.co.uk/bloom. Right, the clacker valve's almost ready. But that's just the start.
Here we go then. That's what we like to see.
Here's part 2 of the water trick, a very big hose pipe. We need a build-up of pressure to the pump, so it needs to be tube-fed. And that involves feeding our pipe down through the culvert.
What we can do, mate, is we're going to drop the tennis ball down there and I want you to tell me when it reaches you. Right, ball in the hole, mate, you ready? Ball in the hole! There you James! Oh, stop! Okay, stop.
Okay,
What's there?
got it.
Got it! Yeah!
Now, pull the pipe down the hole.
Right.
We're in the hole! Keep pulling! Let's go in. Oh, stop! Got it!
The mass of water flowing down this 100-metre pipe should produce plenty of pressure.
Theoretically, Jim, that should actually shoot 3 or 4 metres in the air.
Should do. Should give James a bit of a shock.
Whoa! Hey! So what do you reckon, son? Pretty good. There's quite a lot of pressure, look.
Hopefully enough to drive the pump.
This is the price you want to keep... Oh!
And send the water up to the polytunnel. Doesn't take much to amuse us, and this project costs next to nothing. Toby Soday's also money saving in what's usually a very expensive business.
Jo Struggles kicked off the new year in style, tying the knot with the love of her life, Martin Lewis.
Now, can we have a nice kiss, please?
I first met Jo and Martin 4 months ago at a wedding fair in Birmingham. The place was bursting with young brides, with cash to splash.
Every year, British couples spend £4.6 billion on their special day. So what's your budget for the wedding?
Maybe in excess of £20,000.
£20,000?
Yeah.
At the moment, it's £25,000.
£25,000.
But you just do it, don't you?
But not Jo and Martin. They've got just £5,000.
Just interested as to whether you're thinking of making a green wedding at all.
Must admit, it's not the first thing on your mind, green issues. So if we can incorporate it in a big day like a wedding...
Yeah, within budget.
Yeah, within budget, yeah. That's great. Great idea.
Let's have a go.
So, on with the business of turning their white wedding green. First challenge, the dress. Oxfam are recycling wedding dresses from shops and fashion houses all over the country. They're sold in specialist bridal shops at bargain prices. Jo and her bridesmaids are spoilt for choice.
If you look at the example, this is a beautiful dress. As you can see here, it's come in at £1,286. I'm selling it for £180, and it's a beautiful gown.
Alan Isles works here for love, not money.
That's gorgeous. I think I sell about 5 or 6 dresses a week. I make a lot of money for the cause, I really do.
Oh, that's nice.
I'm not too sure you've lost your shape on that, Joe.
I was actually really surprised at how big the collection was, to be honest. There was so much stuff there. I sort of had a bit of knowledge that they were ex-catwalk, and I thought they'd probably be size 6 or 8 or 10, which clearly is certainly not going to fit me.
For many couples, it's what happens right after they've tied the knot that can have the single biggest impact on the wedding's carbon footprint. The honeymoon.
Love is in the air, in the rising of the sun.
Jo and Martin have set aside just under a third of their total budget. That's £1,500. For that kind of money, I've found 3 romantic retreats. The first is in Yorkshire, the second in Cornwall. What you want on a honeymoon is peace, seclusion, and just generally to be away from it all. Both buildings have the eco-credentials that help us greenies sleep well at night. And Cornwall has a fantastic restaurant on site, where 90% of the food comes from within 10 miles. And the third option? A stone's throw from the Mediterranean, but 1,000,000 miles from mass tourism, is a little slice of heaven amongst the trees. Swinging here in this compostable hammock, you really feel you can be anywhere in the world. Yet, I have to remind myself, this is January, this is the south coast of France, and it's genuinely just a train ride away. OK, that's the honeymoon. Now, back to the big day and all its green glory. These saplings make great wedding favours. Jo and Martin used recycled invitations and put eco-friendly wedding presents at the top of their list. We found some great fizz from a nearby vineyard.
Lovely. That's fantastic. Cheers.
And sourced locally produced food.
Initially, I was quite concerned and imagined this fantastic wedding day just all being completely not what I wanted at all. But as soon as you start asking the questions, you can actually do pretty much what you want.
Love is all around me.
And talking about doing what you want, witness the moment when we discussed the 3 lovely honeymoon choices that I'd slaved over. So there's a bit of a moment of truth. What are you going to pick?
Well, we have a little bit of a confession.
It's a big confession.
Out with it.
I've dreaded this moment for the last month.
It is a cruise.
What? A cruise? The Caribbean?
You have blown your budget without telling me. You have chosen to go on not only not a green holiday, but on the brownest, the blackest of holidays possible. I can only take it on the chin and just assume that I have monstrously failed.
The end of a perfect day, despite the honeymoon hiatus. When it came to the final fling, at least they tied the knot with a green flourish and threw flower petal confetti, naturally.
This week's EcoTest guest is Nick Knowles.
Good.
Nick and his team are well known for sorting out other people's DIY disasters, so I'd expect his place to be in tip-top condition.
I make my own stuff. Like now, last night I came in from a nightclub. And,
I wasn't going to say anything, was it?
I knocked myself a pea soup. Look, made with fresh peas and it was really good, actually. Do you want to try some?
I think I'll pass on that. Thanks, Nick.
Very simple questions, yeah. And first things, how would you best describe your diet? Are you sort of an omnivore, vegetarian, vegan?
The only reason that we in this country have time to think about whether we actually want to be vegetarian is because we have the choice to be able to do it.
No choice, it's provided.
If you're starving in the middle of China somewhere and somebody offers you a piece of meat, you don't say, I'm sorry, I'm a vegetarian, I can't possibly... You eat it, because that's the natural order of things.
You're an omnivore.
Yeah, I'm an omnivore. I eat everything.
Yeah, eat everything.
I came from a family of 5 kids. You eat whatever you can get your hands on when you're growing up in that situation.
I'm 1 of 7, we've got long arms. Long arms are essential, because you only get fit, you've got a big long arm.
Yeah.
That's good for me. How often do you buy organic meat, vegetables and dairy products?
As often as I possibly can, really.
So go and have a look at your fridge.
There you go, a bit of fish.
Yeah. Homemade local stuff? That's,
Yeah, homemade relishes. I do like relishes and things, and local jams and a few limes, mainly to slice and put into drinks. Yeah. Here, there's couscous, there's fruit, there's nuts.
And no shortage of...
I'm keeping them for a friend, obviously.
OK, what sort of car do you drive?
I drive a hybrid, actually, oddly enough. Although I do love big, powerful motor cars. I do about 40,000 miles a year. This is the example of Pester Power. This is what my daughter got me to buy because the car I was driving was doing too much fuel. And
that's it, the H.
H means hybrid, and it's got 2 engines in it, one electric, one fuel.
Absolutely, yeah.
And at low level, I can roll along without making any noise at all and creep up on cyclists. That's my job. I've got to travel, you know, and I can't cycle to Borneo, so...
Train? Do you ever use a train?
Yeah, I occasionally use a train, but to be honest, they're too expensive.
I'm assuming you don't do buses.
Oh, I hate buses. London has been destroyed by buses. Absolutely destroyed by buses. There's too many of them. They're empty, and they block up London consistently. You go to Regent Street, and from end to end, it is bus, and they all pull across junctions and stop everywhere. Do you know, the other day, I actually got out of the car because I'd bent sat at a junction for 20 minutes. So I went and stood in front of this bus and waited through 2 hours of traffic with this bus driver going mad, going, "You're stopping me doing my job." It's like, well, you're stopping everybody else in London doing your job. Empty buses, running around London, people pretending it's a green environmental way to go. Not.
OK, so I don't travel by bus. How warm do you keep your home? What's sort of normal? Because ask a question about your home, but it's where you are at the time.
Warmer than my mum used to keep the home. That's because I used to. My mum, I'd always say, "Mum, I'm cold." She'd go, "Put another jumper on." I've already got 3 on.
Right. I'm going to press this button.
Right.
And it should do a calculation. It's taking its time. Big calculation. What this is saying, that if everybody in the world lived the way that you're proposing we live, it would take 4.8 planets to support us. What do you reckon to that?
It's meaningless.
Do you not think...
That's meaningless to me.
Yeah.
If governments and people in power had any view towards the future, we wouldn't now be at a point where they're suggesting that if I have a wormery, I can save the planet. The planet could have been saved way in advance by the people in power, and they've chosen not to do it until we get to the end of our resources. Why don't we insist that houses are built with ground source heat? Why aren't they insisting that photoelectric cells are on roofs? Why aren't they offering subsidies in order to get those kind of things in? Don't tell me it's not cost effective, because we know it is. We've seen where the money can come from when shareholders are in difficulty, when bankers are in difficulty, so the money's available out there somewhere.
The question is, why don't they? So what can we do to make them do it?
Well, we do things like this. If this part of the interview is included, then me talking about this instead of just accepting the guilt trip will make a difference. It will make people think. If you want to get elected next time, you better have a proper proposal about how we're going to change our environment. A proper proposal that actually undertakes these things. And when they start employing people like me, maybe to make some of those decisions. Vote for me.
The world according to Nick Knowles, 4.8 planets.
Yeah, the world, yeah.
Yeah, Nick. 4.8 planets. We've hit rock bottom. Can we offset somehow? There's a controversial suggestion. Get me John Kay.
Well, there are loads of websites, aren't there, which offer to calculate your carbon footprint. In other words, work out how much carbon dioxide you've emitted from driving and flying and heating up your home. And carbon offsetting is where you pay a bit of money to try to make up for all that damage you've done to the planet. So what can we do to repair that damage? Well, in the 90s, we'd have been advised to plant a forest. But in the noughties, we're offered all kinds of ways to offset our emissions. Brad Pitt's a fan, and so are loads of rock stars, like Jack Johnson.
One of the projects we've been working with extensively is in Kenya. What we're doing is providing energy-efficient cooking stoves. Typically, families in Kenya will cook on open fires, which is a very inefficient means of cooking. And what we do is provide them, using funds from our clients, with energy-efficient stoves built from brick, and they typically use about 70% less fuel than the open fire method of cooking. So you've got the carbon saving from burning less timber. Because they burn at a higher temperature, there's less smoke, so there's a health benefit to the users. And also, because they're using less fuel, typically they spend quite a lot less money or less time gathering or buying firewood.
But offsetting is controversial. Although Mike Rigby insists his company is a beacon of best practice, some others have been accused of making misleading and exaggerated claims, and critics say it's just an excuse to carry on polluting.
In the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church developed a market-based approach to the business of sinning. That is, there were some monks who had a surplus amount of good deeds, and the church decided that those monks could sell those good deeds onto your average sinner in the form of indulgences. And what we're saying is that carbon offsetting is very similar to this idea that you can somehow buy your way out of your climate responsibility by buying these carbon indulgences off carbon offset companies. And of course, the idea is ridiculous. There's no way you can buy your way out of your climate responsibility any more than you can buy your way into heaven.
Right, I've had an idea. Why don't we try and calculate the carbon footprint of this entire series? In which case, I hope that is a low-energy bulb. And when we know the size of our footprint, we can work out what to do about it. It's up to the guys in the office to do the number crunching. We've tried to be as green as possible right through the series. We've had Dick snapping at our heels, saying no to aerial shots from helicopters, and making us think about what we're doing and how we're doing it.
It's not easy being green. It's going to have a fairly large carbon footprint because we're moving around, we're visiting lots of different people. All right, we use trains where we can, but for a crew to move around with lots of different things here, it's a lot of transport required. We have to carry cameras, we can't just take them on and off trains, and trains don't always go where we want to go.
OK, but no excuses. Our carbon footprint has been calculated by Paula Owen from the Energy Saving Trust. So what's the damage?
The damage, John, is 18 tonnes.
18 tonnes of carbon from our series.
Yes. To be honest, that doesn't seem too bad. 18 tonnes, for example, is the same amount of carbon dioxide that 3 households would produce in a year.
18 tonnes is the equivalent of 4.5 planets on our eco-guest test. A little bit better than the kids presenters Sam and Mark, and not as bad as Nick. Now, one of the offsetting companies says we can wipe our slate clean for just 150 quid. So is that the answer?
We see carbon offsetting as part of the journey towards a low-carbon future. And personally, I'd quite like to think that in 15 or 20 years' time, it won't be necessary. It's a transitional arrangement while some of the low-carbon technologies become more freely available to not just people in the West, but to people across the world.
Essentially, it's a marketing gimmick that's used to make people believe that you can wave a magic wand and make your carbon emissions disappear, when the reality is, once you're responsible for carbon emissions, they're out there in the atmosphere causing climate damage, and there's no way they can be neutralised or taken back.
I guess you pays your money, you takes your choice, or indeed, you don't pay your money. Either way, what about those 18 tonnes of carbon that we're responsible for? What are we going to do about those, Dick?
Let's not forget, over 2 million people watch this programme, and if every one of you changed just one light bulb to a low energy type, we'd save over 1,000 times the carbon footprint it took to make the whole series. That's amazing. 34 inside leg. How are we doing?
Back at Newhouse Farm, there's work to be done. The water pump is complete. Now all it needs is to be connected to the hose pipe.
Right, we're going to put it straight up and in there. And this water's going to come out the top, isn't it? Whoa! That's all right. That's cool.
Now that's not a leak, it's what it's meant to do. And as the pressure increases, the valve shuts, forcing water up the hill. And hopefully all the way uphill to the polytunnel. Next week, Lauren and her mate Phil Jupiters are let loose with the pride of the Caravan Club. Eco-friendly, of course.
I recall Central Park.
And I'm delivering Meals on Wheels.
Oh my goodness. The roast beast.
Yeah. Look at that.
Cheers.
Cheers. Yeah, well,
Good effort. Marvellous.
And James falls for the oldest trick in the book.
Oh, happy day.
As we race to the finish in what must surely be the greenest house in London.
We've got water. It's about 100 metres uphill, no electricity, using the power of water, and we'll fill this up in no time.
Yeah, I'm going to get watering.
Brilliant. Okay, watering without the watering can. Does it work?
Yeah, good.
That's good.
Yeah, it's really good.
See you next week. Bye.
Well, It's Not Easy takes a break next week to make way for the MasterChef final and returns to BBC Two on the 2nd of March. But it's the MasterChef semis next on BBC Two, and no room for mistakes as the boys cook a top-drawer dinner party.